I like to start with the interior because it's easy. So the first thing I want to do is click this use custom dimensions up here because I don't want to use what they've got. And I don't want pixels. I want inches right here. I don't want any of their template sizes. I'm going to say 8 inches by 10. That is a standard journal size. So is 6 by 9. So is 8.5 by 11. 8 by 8 for a square book is more for kids books, less for journals, but it could be used for journals. I'm going to use 8 by 10 because I know that every printer can print it. Because it's a standard size, and also because there's a lot of journal books already out there in this size, so it would fit well with other things in the market. So I'm going to click design, and boom, I've got a page. Now, Canva's pretty cool. It's got a way that you can add backgrounds and images, and some of them cost and some of them are free, but something that's relatively new that you have to be aware of. If you use even their free images, you cannot sell your product. You have to use all your own images in order to sell your product. It's part of their licensing. They say they have an extended licensing agreement. I can't find it. I have searched their whole website and I can't find it. So as far as I know, that's a brand new thing that they just started doing this year. And so I just want you to be aware of that. The second thing to be aware of is you have a 30-page limit. I'm going to show you how to make more pages. Here's an add new page button, but there's other easier ways to do it. And that 30-page limit is a little short for a journal or any kind of book really, except maybe a kid's book. So what you would want to do is Google free PDF compiler. Those are the words you want to Google. Free PDF compiler. There's a bunch of them out there. Find one that you like. And what you'll do is make a PDF of each section of your book and then compile them together using a free compiler. That way, all your design work and everything remains free. You don't have to pay for any of it. Which can be a good or a bad thing depending on if you know a thing or two about design. So, let's get on to the favorite music journal. So, first thing I want to do is I want to put some sort of a title page in here. I'm going to click over here to text and click add heading. And I'm going to do it English style because apparently Barbara is from across the pond or from Canada, not sure which, but she's spelling it with F-A-V-O-U-R-I-T-E, which is just fun. So we're going to say my favorite music, and then I'll use the word journal in some other font. So I'm going to position this here. And I'm going to click on it and see if there's any other font that I want. Now the fonts you don't have to worry about because they're all Google-based fonts. They're all public domain fonts. And I want to find something kind of cool looking. That's fun. Definitely needs to be bigger. So now I'm going to click on the box and let's make it really big. There we go. That's fun. I like that a lot. And now I'm going to do another text box with Canva. With your text boxes, you can't do multiple sizes of fonts and anything special in the boxes. Like you can't do multiples, but you have to have a different text box for each size, for each type, and for each color. Okay, so unlike a professional design program like Adobe InDesign, where you can have one text box and have all those different features inside that one text box, with Canva you can't. So let's say journal. And let's see what other kind of font I have here. There's not a ton to choose from, but that's not necessarily a bad thing at all. I kind of like that one. That's fun. Okay, and let's make that a little bigger. And we don't need to worry about color because this is the interior. And I'm just going to position it about there. So now I'm going to put my little bit of body text for my name. I'm going to change the size of this to be a little bit bigger and put it down near the bottom because I'm the author. Now what you noticed here was that purple dashed line, that vertical line showed up when I was scrolling down. That means it's perfectly centered with this big text box up here, which is awesome. I like being able to have that. All right, so now I need a new page because the back of this page is going to be my copyright. So I'm just going to put a placeholder here for now. All rights reserved. Boom. Copyright page done. Now I'm going to add another page, and this page is, now this is the right hand side of the page, this is the back, so the left hand side, this is the right hand side again. And I think I'm going to do a dedication. So what I'd like to do is copy this, so I have the same exact font and size and everything, and paste it here. Now all I did was use Control-C and Control-V on my keyboard, but you can also go up here to copy and then paste it that way. So this one's going to be dedication, and I'm going to steal this font. Actually, I don't like that font for my name. The rule of book design is no more than 3 fonts per. I kind of like the idea of using this Amatic font for my name. So let's go back up to Amatic. Yeah, that's fun. So I want to copy this. I'm going to go up here to copy. Oops. Actually, it works better if you just use your keyboard, or you go up here to edit copy right there on your actual computer rather than the Canva copy. I'm going to paste, and this is going to be my text. I'm going to say, this book is dedicated to all the awesome people on today's webinar. You rock. There we go. Dedication's done. Now I need the back of the dedication page, and I want that one to just be blank because I'm going to start my actual book content on the next page. Yeah, I think I'm going to do it that way, where there's different ways you could do this. You could start your book content on the left side, so I could start it here if I wanted to, and have spreads where each page or each set of 2 pages, when you fold a book open flat, has content on it for one entry. But I'm going to do a page by page entry, and that eliminates some math I have to do later. So now that I've got my blank page, which is the back side of dedication, I need another page to be my first page for the actual book. So let me grab this again and this. I'm going to grab both of these, copy, take them down to my new page and paste. And now I want to, and I'm just doing this to save some time with finding the fonts again. I want to make this a little smaller, and I want to say, let's see, what kind of music? Let's say classical. Classical favorites. And I'm going to put over here, make this smaller. And I'm going to say name of song. And now I'm going to show you how to make pesky lines. Just click this little bit of body text, hold down Shift on your keyboard, hit the hyphen key, and keep hitting the hyphen key until you have a line. There we go. Name of song right there. So now I can select both of those and hit copy, makes a duplicate right there. Make sure it's all lined up perfectly. And in this one, I want to say, this song makes me feel like, and I'm just going to extend that out. Let's make both of these left justified. Let's see, go here. You can see it's centered. I'm going to make it on the left. Actually, I'm going to make it on the right. And I'm going to make this one on the right, just so I've got something where I can put the line in here. All right, and I'm going to delete part of this line. Okay, now I'm going to copy this line and move it down and give it a little more room to journal. See how I'm using these purple lines that show up to guide everything? Make more of that line. There we go. And I'm just going to copy this. Oops. Copy. And move it down, allowing a bit of space in between. I'm just kind of eyeballing it, but I want to allow some space in between for the actual writing. Make sure it's all lined up. I'm going to select both of these and copy and paste. And I'm going to do the same thing, just eyeballing. I think that's enough. So now I'm going to select this whole thing, copy and paste, scooch it down here. When I like to listen to this. So when I like to listen, it's obvious it's to this music. But whenever I like to listen. Now I could left justify these so they line up even better with each other here, but I'm not going to be that much of a stickler about it. I'm just going to add a little bit more in the way of line there. Make that a little bigger. There we go. So it's like when I like to listen. Like, when do I like to listen? And let's grab a few more of these for another section, copy, paste. And I'm totally just thinking of this up off the fly. You could come up with whatever you want. What's another thing I could have them fill out about this music? How about a fun memory about this piece? We'll say piece because it's, classical. And I'm going to just delete part of that line out and line it back up so the right hand of the line is lined up. There we go. Need to do it a little bit further over. There we go. And I think I want to make this memory part longer just because I'm lazy and I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to add anything else in. All right, so that is a page. Now, obviously, I just hit save. I hit save by habit when I'm working in other programs, but you don't have to because this auto saves. It'll say unsaved changes here, but it will actually start to auto save. So here we go. I've got my title page, my copyright page, my dedication, the backside dedication is blank, and my book starting on the right hand side. Cool. So how can I take this? Let's say I want 5 pages of classical favorites before I change it up to something else, like rock favorites or R&B favorites or something like that. All I have to do is click this button right here 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just made myself 5 pages of classic favorites. Now I'm going to hit it one more time, and I'm going to change this to R&B favorites. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I've got a whole section of R&B favorites with the same prompts. Now I'm just going to copy this one more time and change that to say metal favorites. 1, 2, 3, 4. See how fast you can make pages? So now I've got 19 pages so far in this book, and I could do another 11 for this section and then create a new section and keep going with more and cover every different kind of spectrum of music. I can do anything I want with this. I can have different questions here, different prompts. I can mix up the prompts a little bit in each section. I can make this into another favorites journal and copy the entire project and make a my favorite something else journal, like my favorite food journal or my favorite colors journal or my favorite places journal, whatever. I'm just throwing stuff out there. You can come up with whatever you want. But for all intents and purposes, let's say that my interior is done. So now I want to download. Here's my favorite music, done. I want to make sure this is saving, first of all, because for some reason it still says unsaved changes and it's supposed to save. You can share it, but I don't recommend that. I'm going to download it as a PDF for print right here. See what the option says. So you can do all pages, specific pages, and range. You don't need crop marks and bleed for pretty much any printer anymore, especially digital or print on demand. Download with a transparent background. I'm not going to bother with that. I'm just going to choose all pages and click PDF for print. It does its little thing, thinking about it, preparing, and so on, and then my download will show up on my computer. So hold tight while that is downloading, and I'm going to create a cover. Now I can add graphics in here too if I want. I'm going to show you how to do that with the cover. The same rules apply to the interior. As long as it's black and white, you can add graphics to the interior. And I think I can have some fun with the cover on this one for sure. Can be creative about it. Your design is ready. And I'm using Chrome, so I've got this bar on here that shows that my design is there. And by the way, this is web-based, so it works on both Mac and PC. I get that question a lot. So that's one reason why I'm using it. I'm going to go back to Your Designs Canva, and I'm going to reload. For some reason, my favorite music is not saved. See where you can copy an entire project for another book in your series right there? Pretty easy. And then you can just delete all your pages except for your core pages. You can even create templates this way and then copy the template to use over and over again, so you don't have to delete all your pages for your core pages. And I said delete them because you don't want to have to hand change every single page in your book. It's just annoying. Why bother? But I want to do the cover now. So I'm going to click this Use Custom Dimensions again. My book is 8 by 10 in size. My cover needs to have a back cover, a spine, a front cover, and what's called a bleed, because the bleed is the color and design that's going to go off the edges and be cut off on the actual printer machine. So if it's 8 by 10, 8 for the back cover, 8 for the front cover, and I'm just going to put out there 0.375 for the spine because that's fairly typical for a spine of this kind of book, and that's actually I think what my spine width is on one of my other ones. And I'm going to need a calculator for this because I'm not going to do this math in my head. Some people can do math in their head. I can't. So I'm going to take 8 plus 8, which is 16, plus 0.375, plus, now I need 0.25 for each bleed. So my left side and my right side. Now this varies by printer, so you need to check out what your printer specs are, whatever printer you choose. I recommend either Ingram Spark or CreateSpace for print on demand because they're easy to get onto Amazon. And Ingram Spark is 0.25 for the bleed now. It used to be 0.1875, which is weird. But because I need to add a quarter of an inch on either end of my book and my top and my bottom, I need to add a half an inch across because a quarter plus a quarter is a half. So basically what I'm doing is a quarter on the left, then 8 inches, then 0.375 for my spine, then 8 inches, and then a quarter on the right. So I need to add the quarter plus a quarter, which is 0.5. So that gives me 16.875 for my width. 16.875. The top is easy because I don't have a spine for my height. It's just the height. And the height is 10 inches, right? So, oh, shoot. That's right. I forgot to... Note to self, don't forget to change this to inches first. There we go. So the height is easy. It's 10 inches plus the half an inch for the spine, or for the bleed on the top and the bottom. So a quarter inch on the top, quarter inch on the bottom. So that's pretty simple, 10.5. It's the width that's always trickier to figure out. Click Design. And by the way, your spine width is determined by what printer you use. Every printer is different. Every printer's paper is different. It's the thickness of the paper that determines the thickness of the spine. Every printer has what's called a spine width calculator. You will need to use that to figure out what that number in the center should actually be, which is another reason why I'm doing my cover after my interior, because once my interior is totally done and I know my number of pages, I can get the spine width calculator from my printer and I can plug in my numbers and it'll tell me exactly how wide my spine should be, and I can add that in instead of having to do weird redesign with it. Redesigning in Canva is not nearly as easy as redesigning in something like Adobe InDesign, which is created for book design. I'm using Canva for book design because I'm pushing its boundaries, and well, that's fun to do. So I need to have something in here that tells me where the center is, because I don't want to eyeball where the center of my spine is going to be. So I'm going to, I could grab that, but I'm not going to. I'm going to, first of all, you can use colors as backgrounds too. And I think I might do some kind of a cool grungy look or something. So, but we'll see what kind of art I can find for that. I'm going to just grab a text box and put it in here so that I know what my center is. There we go. See how that purple line showed up in the middle? I'm just going to do that just as a placeholder. I'll delete that later once I get designs in here and stuff. Now I need to copy and paste. This is another cool thing about Canva, because you can copy and paste to your actual computer's clipboard. I need to copy and paste this page because this is my title page. Title pages should always match the cover. I'm not going to click that because that's just going to copy it right here. I'm going to hold down Control C on my keyboard, and it's Command C for those of you on a Mac, and Control V as in Victor, and boom. Now, oops, I want to keep this intact. I've got my front cover text, and I've got my attribution name. Now remember, you're going to have to leave room, like about 1/4 of an inch on the edges here. You don't really have the ability to do measurements here unless you create a graphic in Photoshop or something that you know is that dimension, and then you can put it in there as just a placeholder and then delete it later. That is an option. For this purpose, I'm just going to eyeball it. So my favorite music journal, and I'm going to go first over to openclipart.org. I'm going to put this in the chat box for those of you here live, and then I'm also going to put it over to the questions box so that those of you on mobile devices can get it too. This is a public domain website where you can use any of the art for whatever you want. So that's why I like it. I'm going to search here first because they're pretty darn easy to use. And I want to look at music. What have we got? We got a cool little keyboard. We've got ornate music frame. That might be interesting to look at. And there's a bunch of pages of stuff. So I'm looking more for something like this that I could use. Something kind of cool and modern looking would be good. Devotion to music. I don't want text in it. And let's see what happens if I type in music pattern. Nope. Music notes. Ooh, here we go. Some pretty cool stuff. I like this one here. Let's see what else I've got. Oh, that is super fun. Little treble clef action there. Here's a dot to dot. Ha! How fun is that? Brain notes, notes on the wind. Here's one with color. Here's one with black. I want to see what that one looks like. That looks promising. It's got butterflies and stuff on it too, which keep in mind the imagery you use and your audience. Oh, this is interesting. Let me see what that one looks like. If I could also make this a journal for women and then do another one that's a journal for men. So, or for guys, girls, whatever. All right, I'm just opening all these in a new window just because I want to see what they look like. I think that's stupid. Not doing that one. That one's got some promise. I love this. This is very, very cool. Oh, that is freaking awesome. This would work for what I want, for sure. All right, so now this is a PNG file. I can download the SVG. If you have Adobe Illustrator, this is an EPS file. It can be opened by Adobe Illustrator. So I personally would prefer this one, but I'm going to do the big image PNG anyway, just because I want this to be something that anybody with any kind of software can use. So I'm going to just click the button to download it. There we go. And it's called Vector Musical, so I'm going to have to find that later. That one, not so much. That could be cool, though, for a women's music journal. That could be cool. That could be fun, but I don't think I'm going to use that. And I like the other one better. So I think I'm going to go with this whole grungy thing. I think that could be quite fun. So I'll go back to my cover here, and I want to click Uploads over here. Upload an image, and I need to find in my downloads or wherever you save it on your computer, you find that file you just downloaded. And Vector Music. And by the way, you can use your own artwork, your own pictures. You can use any public domain imagery. You can use something from pixabay.com, which is another one. I was going to go there if I didn't find anything from OpenClipArt. Pixabay is pretty easy to use too. You just have to have a free account to use it. And you get a whole bunch of ads. Just be careful of the first row of pictures when you do a search on Pixabay, because the first row is all paid ads and like Shutterstock and stuff like that. And you can use stock imagery too, like Shutterstock image. So I'm going to put this in here like that. And I love this because it's going onto the back cover. That's just freaking fun. And I want to move it to the back. So I'm just going to click back until it stops going. There's little dots telling me how far back it is. See, right there is the little dots. I want it all the way to the back. And I think I want to play with its transparency a little bit. So clicking this, I can click transparency, and I'm going to turn it down. So it's a little bit more on the grayscale side of things. Now, part of this is going to be cut off, and I'm okay with that. Part of the rest of it doesn't matter. The top a little bit is going to be cut off, and I'm okay with that too. So now what I want to do is I want to make this stand out more, because it really doesn't stand out right now since I totally messed it up, right? And see what I want to do to it. I don't know if I want to introduce color, but that could be fun. Let's pull a really cool red, like a deep red in there. And let's make this, actually that being black is really cool, and let's make my name that same red. It saves your colors that you used more recently, which is very, very awesome. And now I want to do something else to make that stand out more. And I think what I'm going to do is put a color bar behind it. That's just going to be easier. So this is elements. There's all sorts of like shapes and stuff. And while you can take a shape and use it from here, I would probably end up going the extra step and finding a shape and using it like from Photoshop or from Open Clip Art or something like that, just because I don't want to be accused of using their rectangle. But for now, I'm just going to use it because this is for demo purposes, and I showed you how to upload and you know how to do that. So I'm going to make a color bar go across here, and I'm going to send this to the back. Let's see what happens if I send it all the way to the back. This is not showing up on it because it's black. So let's see what happens if I make that white, move it forward one, and let's play with the transparency on this a little bit. Just getting a little bit fun. There we go. Cool. And I'm going to make it smaller. It doesn't have to be that bad or that big. My favorite music journal. Cool. So to make my spine text, I just want to copy this so it's the same font, turn it so it's perfectly vertical, and make it a lot smaller. It needs to be more like 12 point in order to actually work. Then I'm going to bring it over here and see where that purple line is that's showing up right in the middle of the word center. That's what I want. I want it to be in the word center. Now I know where my center is. I can get rid of that. Don't need it anymore. Do the same thing with journal. Copy, turn it, move it over here, make sure it's centered. Actually make it smaller first, make that 12 point also. Make sure it's centered in with the other one. I don't like how that's lining up, so I'm just going to bump it down a little bit. And I'm going to take this and copy it so I have the same transparency blend, turn it, and I'm going to make this a color bar that goes across the spine. And I just want it to go where the text is so that my text stands out. That's the only reason I'm doing it this way. So you see I got my purple line, and of course I want to move that back so that you can actually move it forward. There we go. So that you can see these words. Here, my favorite journal, music journal. Now some printers, depending on which printer you use, you may not have enough pages for a spine text at all. That's another thing that you have to look at your printer for. And boom, I have got my cover done. So other than the back cover, which would just be text again and my ISBN barcode, I'd upload the picture of it and put it right there. Unless you use CreateSpace, you can just leave a spot for it and they will add an ISBN if you choose to use theirs. There's pros and cons to that. You can add pricing information if you want. You can add a little mini bio about yourself, whatever. I'm going to download PDF for print. And that's it. That's how easy it is. And I did this in what, 30 minutes? So really what it comes down to, what takes the amount of time is play. It takes time to play and discover what you want. I'm going to say music, journal, cover, just so I know what this is when I see my projects. It takes time to play, and you want to take time to play because you want to come up with something that's pretty cool. But as you can see in Canva, it's really easy to come up with something pretty cool.